Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are revisiting some of our deck profiles that we've done. There were a few deck profiles where there was definitely some concern around the actual builds themselves, and I do 100% agree. I will say for some of the decks, I definitely think that I didn't look into it enough. We've also got the benefit of the first tournament actually coming in from set 2, or at least the first large tournament, having been in the North America region over the weekend. It was a very, very Topku heavy meta. Of the top 16 decks, 14 of them were Topku. I'm gonna say this really disheartens me. A set should not be that heavily dominated. I am gonna put an asterisk on this and say, look, it is the first event, so that might change going forward. But 15 of the 16 decks were red, the other red deck being Beerus, which I'm not surprised at all. The Topku package lends perfectly into Beerus' strategy as well, so there's no surprise there at all whatsoever from me on that. But me and my guys from my locals, again, going to name drop here James and Corey. So we're kind of the only main Fusion World players at the minute. We've got a tournament coming up next weekend or the weekend after. Yeah, it'll be, what, about 13 days from now, give or take. So we've got a big regional. Unfortunately, with us being in the UK, it is getting limited to set 1, which really sucks. I was kind of looking forward to a set 2 meta, but unfortunately the delays in the product over here have kind of kicked our ass a bit. So we're going into a set 1 meta, which means that our practice is kind of getting struck, at least on the digital side, because we're going to have to continually play people who are playing set 2 decks. But still, I'm looking forward to recording some videos for set 2. I'm really just not looking forward to. The reason why I'm so disheartened is now that people are seeing what Topku is going to be like. We already kind of assumed how ridiculous this deck was going to be anyway, but it's just going to be a wall of Topku. Like last set, it was just a wall of Broly. This is just going to be Topku all over again, and I was kind of hoping for, I don't know, I wanted the meta to be blown wide open, which it has to an extent, but it's stuck to just, if you don't play this leader, you lose kind of thing, and that's how it felt with Broly. So I'm not looking forward to that, but for sure, hopefully we will start to see some more tournament reports, we'll start to see some more deck builds out there which can actually handle the top Q package pretty, even if not efficiently, it can at least give you a fighting chance, which is kind of what I'm looking for. So that's kind of what my aim of the game is after this. Obviously, this deck profile is specific to Top Q, but I think some of the other deck profiles I'm going to revisit are going to be in line with how do we try and deal with this leader, or at least how do we deal with the package that it sends out. So that's the idea anyway, but I'm going to just start on Top Q for today. I think over the next couple of days there'll be some re-uploads of some deck profiles that I've done. And again, like I said, some of the comments, the guys were spot on. There was cards that I missed, which I certainly should not have ignored. And that was kind of my fault. So we'll go through it from the start. So for Basil, of course, it is just it searches everything in the deck besides our super combo, more or less everything apart from, I could list on one hand the number of cards that don't have Tournament of Power in their traits. So there's no reason why you shouldn't run this at 4. It's just your best turn 1 play to start finding your pieces. Self-Awakening Roshi, again, the leader doesn't do its thing until it gets to 3 life, so being a Self-Awaken, or having access to Self-Awakeners is really huge for the deck, and having a turn 1 Self-Awakener is always really powerful. I don't run Whis, right, so I'm going to skip over this. There are lists out there, and I can completely understand why people run Whis, and the main reason is that I can just do a -5 and kill your Self-Awakener. In the mirror match, 100%, it's definitely the best choice. I just don't like having that many 1-drops in this deck, and especially 5k combos, because there are quite a few of them as well. So I have skipped Whis, but don't get me wrong, if anybody is going to comment and ask why no Whis, it's purely just around deck space for me. I'm not copying any particular build that won or topped over the weekend. Don't get me wrong, the decks will look pretty similar, I'd imagine, but I did notice that a few people were running Whis, so there might be a possibility that we just add in a couple, 2 or 3 copies of Whis just in case for the mirror match, because it is probably your best out in the mirror matches to keep killing their Self-Awakeners, or at least their Roshis, while you have access to your own. But my thing is that it's only really good in turn 2, it's not particularly good in turn 1. Because if they then use their Self-Awakener, you then in turn 2 can, you're going to have to spend the energy some way, shape or form. But if you have hit does basically the same thing anyway. I don't know how I feel about it. I think for deck space, I'm curious. Again, this is where the testing part of when the digital client, you know, when set 2 releases, that's where the testing is going to come important, and we'll actually see if Whis is worth it or not. Just for me right now, I'm not sure if it is. That's the only thing I'll say. I think hit does exactly what the one drop Whis does, and it's only good if you don't see hit. And again, you're going to have to then make space in your deck for this card. So, but again, we run 4 hits. Of course, like I said, it's your Self Awakener, and it negs -5, meaning we can just kill this every turn pretty much. That's kind of the idea behind it. As long as ours survives and we can kill our opponents, we're in a great position. And then I run 3 Cauliflowers. This was a card I missed. I saw that the card was critical. I missed that it was a Self Awakener. That was really dumb. This card is really good. As far as Topku and even Starter Coup, this is the next best Self Awakener. Krillin was decent, but honestly, if I have Krillin in any of my previous deck profiles, I would cut them for the Cauliflower 100%. Maybe U7's kind of different because Krillin's at least a U7, so there might be a difference there, but for at least Topku, Starter Coup, and Beerus, 100% Cauliflower's just the better choice. Yeah, I don't know how I missed that. That was I just completely skipped over this card. I saw the critical, and for whatever reason, I just didn't see the take a card. And it is optional as well, which is good, meaning that we have access to it in the later game as well if we need it. And then 4 Gohans. This is arguably the best card to play off of the 4-drop Kefla. Not guaranteed, obviously, it is situational, but since it is Tournament of Power, it's definitely one of the best. So making him 25k from his own effect, on attack, we obviously take the life and then we neg something -15k. It's ridiculous in strength. It completely annihilates our opponent's board. It's so good. I run 3 of the Gokus. You'll notice when we get to the end of the deck, I've significantly cut the number of 0ks, which I think is kind of what you have to do here. Once again, I missed a card, which we'll get to in a second. I can't believe I missed it off the last deck profile. It was really stupid, but this is still a ridiculously strong card. While we can't play it off of Kefla, you know, when we're in our turn 4, we can Kefla into Gohan into this, for example, right? You know, for the 1 energy, we play the Kefla plays Gohan for free, and then we can just tap 3 and play this, right? We can completely annihilate our opponent's board by realistically not having to do much at all. Like, you know, all we're doing is playing cards that we might have to commit 1 attack into a battle card if it was a 20k, let's say, if we only negged 15. But that's it. That's really all we're losing. So the Goku is still really good for that turn 3, turn 4 for sure. There's no reason why you wouldn't run this. And then Corey, and this was Corey's idea. I did honestly see that it was in, I don't know if it was Andrew Duval's list or not, but we were talking about this, and once again on the turn 4, this is a ridiculously strong play. You know, we can play this card, minus everything 10k, then turn 4 we go into the Cauliflower, into the Gohan. Gohan's basically a guaranteed kill on any other card. And now we have 4 attacks between these 2 Gohans, our leader, and the Kefla to just clear up our opponent's board if we need it. It's a ridiculously strong play. In this deck, it's very, very good. Obviously, he can't be played off the Kefla, so you are having to tap 3 for this card. But once again, you know, tapping 3 to minus 10k on everything is really, really strong. So, funnily enough, we were actually talking about it last Tuesday, and it's made an appearance at the regionals, so I'm not surprised to see this card in this deck. And then with 3 Android 17s, once again, it turns our leader into a 25k. Once our leader's awakened, it can't be KO'd by skills. That's not all that prevalent, to be honest, because it's going to be a very red-heavy meta by the looks of it, so this card's probably going to die quite a lot. But it forces our opponent to deal with this card rather than dealing with other things, so you never know, it might still become very valuable. Again, I didn't catch it, unfortunately. I was busy over the weekend, so I didn't actually watch a lot of the tournament. So I'll need to go back and try and find a stream somewhere where I can actually sit and watch some Topku mirror matches just to see if the Android 17 ever became played. It wouldn't surprise me to see that nobody actually played it and everybody just charged it, in all honesty. But it's a good card nonetheless. I think you should run it because in any other match it's a very, very good card. Maybe Blue's probably the exception to that rule. But Yellow can't really deal with this card unless they attack into it, and with it being a 25k, that number's quite easy to defend for Red, so yeah, I'm not worried about it in any other colour besides Red and Blue. Then we run 3 of the Keflas. This is a 10k combo, and it also draws a card if our leader's awakened. That's the biggest problem with Topku, is when we're having to pay 1 and discard 1, we're constantly dropping our hand size. Yes, we're dropping hand size for aggro and board presence, which makes sense, but Kefla is a way of us drawing a card so that we don't take that hit as much. If we play the 4-drop Kefla and then we follow up with this, I'm not saying that that's the best play, but if we did, both those cards from hand have just been replaced off the back of the Kefla and this Kefla as well. So there's absolutely no reason not to run this card. I think it's a very good card, and it allows you to keep pushing on pressure, and yeah, it's a very good card. We're on 3 Catapezla. I wasn't really sold on this card, in all honesty. I like it in Beerus as part of the Topku package. Just for me, minus in 10k, I don't know how relevant that's going to be. It is a 10k combo, that's what it has going for it for me, that there might be a situation where this comes up and, you know what, it's actually very, very useful, but for the times it's not useful, we can still use it as a 10k combo. So yeah, I agree having it in the deck. Its effect for me isn't all that powerful. Yes, it's a minus 10k the turn it's played, but after that, and then obviously when KO'd, again, KO really only applies to one colour in particular. The rest of it, again, I suppose this card KOs as well, but it's very unlikely. You know, our opponent can read. They're just going to go, well, we're not choosing this card because we don't want the -5, depending on whether or not they care about the -5, to be honest. But yeah, it's a good card. I still like it, but I'm just not sure if I like it at 3, maybe at 2. I don't know. We'll see. And then 4 Kefla, the most busted card in the game right now. This is ridiculous. But yeah, like I say, on play we draw a card and then we choose a battle card 3 or less in TOP and its special traits and play it. Again, if we play this Kefla, this combo has cost us nothing from hand. Otherwise, if we play anything else like 17, the Gohan Adolescence, Cauliflower, whatever else we choose, we're only technically -1 from hand, which is still fair, considering what you get, but yeah, Kefla is just ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous card. And it's mainly ridiculous for this. Well, not this one, but obviously we can't play the Ribrianne off of Kefla, but this card is dumb. Like, having access to our leader to just play this out for 1 energy is so stupid. This is the double striker. In my previous list, I ran the Goku, which was a mistake because it's a 0k combo for 1, and you have to tap 5 for it. Yeah, we're not tapping 5 in anything for this deck. It's just, no. This could be played for 1 energy with our leader, and you know we can throw the glimpse of hidden talents on it, and we just turn this into an absolute monster boss card, like without us actually having to do anything. It's crazy. It's really, really strong. But yeah, and she's a 10k combo, so you know worst case scenario, you just combo her off if you need to. Yeah, this deck is ridiculous. It really is, and having a double striker for that cheap is criminal. You should not have that whatsoever. I still run 1 Gohan. I like this as a game finisher. Depending on the turn situation, I'm more than happy to attack with Ribrianne and then put on a glimpse of hidden talent, maybe even an additional 5k if we have something on board we don't really care about. Just make it 50k, make it very punishing for our opponent to get out of, and if they choose to take it, well, into the next turn we have a 1 energy 40k. Like, that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous strength. I love this as just a way to bait our opponent from 3 to 1. Because they're going to have to spend a lot of their hand either protecting their board or protecting their life. So even though Topku will not have a large hand size, theoretically I'm saying, even though it won't have that large of a hand size, our opponent's hand will be depleted from defending it anyway. So yeah, even if they take that double strike going from 3 to 1, unless they draw into 2 super combos, I don't think it's going to matter in the long run. Yeah, I just love this as a game finisher for sure. I still have this at 1. I would argue that you could even run this at 2 just to up your consistency and make sure that you see it for those turns where you need it. But yeah, he's too good a card for me to ignore. I still think he's so strong. For Ribrianne supers, to be honest, the super combo doesn't matter. We can't search for it off the Basil because it's 4 or less. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Yeah, she's there. I don't know. You could get stamped copies of her. There you go. That's the reason why she's in. I put it in there just because she's thematic with the deck, but that's pretty much it. 3 Glimpse of Hidden Arrogance. for those of you that don't know, choose one of your leader or your battle cards and it gains plus 25k power for the turn. Sorry, for the battle. Then if you have a battle card with 30k power or more, you add one battle card with a cost of 4 less from your drop to your hand. So this is what I'm saying about Ribrianne. We play her out for 1, we tap 2, we use this. So for 3 energy, theoretically, we're probably going to add a 10k back, right? So it's one battle card with a cost of 4 or less. We can add her back, I mean, any number, the Roshi back, it doesn't matter. Just any battle card that has a 10k combo on it. And yeah, we turn her into a 55k attacker just through that effect. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous ability. This card's so good. It's just so good for this deck. And then I run 2 God Kamehamehas. I know that Deval runs this in his list as well, but the reason why I quite like this is that the mirror is likely going to be about board presence. It's going to be about clearing board as consistently and as quickly as possible. So I honestly am not against letting your board die every other turn if you have this card. Because obviously if you've got no battle cards, this only costs 1. So for 1 energy, we get a guarantee kill on anything we want. You know, if our opponent has this Goku out, it's dead, right? We don't have to even worry about minusing it by 15 with this Gohan and attacking into it to get it. You know, once it's only a 10k, like we just have access now to a card that's just going to kill anything 30k or less, which is pretty much the entire deck, right? So I love it for that reason, and it plays very well into yellow depending on how well they've controlled your board. I don't think it's going to be all that effective because I don't think that they can clear your board as quickly as you can clear theirs. So I think that if you're ever playing this card, you are probably going to have to tap 2 for it. And there are just many other better ways to kill our opponent's cards, you know. So I like it for the mirror match. Not sure how great it will be into most other colours, but for sure the mirror match is very good. No reason not to run it, I think. Worst case scenario, if you're not in a mirror match, you just charge it, right? That's all it is. But yeah, guys, this is the new list. I hope everybody thinks that this list is a lot better and a lot more consistent. The previous list, I will say, there was a bit of naivety on my part on that, so you know, just ignore what was on that deck. This is, for me, this would be the likelihood of what Topku's going to look like going forward, with a few exceptions. Obviously, things will change. People like to play in different strategies and different things, but yeah, this Gohan for me is still a very good card. I just love him as just a 40k beat stick for 1 energy. Like, I'm not turning that down whatsoever. It's such a good card. But yeah, like the text like this Gohan, you know, like I said, we were talking about it at our locals last week, and it plays brilliantly into the strategy of Topku for sure. There's even an argument for it to be in well, actually no, there's not. I was going to say there's argument for it to be in Beerus, but there's still not. Still no way I'm paying 3, because obviously we have to pay 4 for Kefla and Beerus, so it's a bit different. But yeah, so I don't know. I think Topku for me, as much as I'm going to enjoy playing the deck, I've always been the type of player that tries to play off-meta decks. I'm not a fan of just buying the best deck and playing it at its maximum capacity for, you know, in climbing. It's not who I am as a player. I'd much rather bring content that's interesting and fun, and, you know, if people are interested in Trunks, for example, I would rather spend my time testing, playing, getting better with Trunks, and then providing you with a good quality video, rather than just playing this deck, which is, I think that the client for now, like even set 1, Broly v Broly wasn't, whenever I played Broly personally, I didn't see it all that often. You know, I maybe saw it 30 to 40% of my matches, but I honestly think that genuinely it's just going to be a Topku. It's just going to be a Topku format. It's just going to be mirror match, mirror match, mirror match, mirror match, and yeah, for me, I'm not sure. I don't know how I feel about it. The thing is, as well, is I was looking at the yellow Vegeta deck, and I was thinking that yellow Vegeta actually had good outs to this deck, because obviously we have access to Death Ball and stuff, but if your opponent's smart, Kefla is just going to be the last card they attack with. You know, they'll attack with any of the 3 costs first, and then that way your Death Ball, you're not getting the benefit of resting a 3 or less. The only way you're going to get that benefit is if your opponent has multiple 3 drops on the board, and you know they're forced to attack with 1 and then you rest the other. Like that's pretty much the only way this is going to go. But yeah, like there's so many strategies that I'm curious about to see how we get around red. I think that blue is probably going to be the best at it, just because they have access to bottom deck cards. They had access in set 1, but they weren't all that efficient, whereas now it might not be the worst case scenario. If our opponent blows their hand to establish a board, and then, you know, we just tap 3 in Sinister Shadows or whatever it's called, or Sinister Sickle or whatever it's called, and we just bottom deck 2/4 drops, or 2/4 or less, it's insane value for us. Like, we're going to have to play a control game and just wait it out. We're going to have to go very long, and, you know, try to finish the game when we're on 6-7 energy, and they no longer have the hand size, or they no longer have the power behind them to be able to finish us off. So I think that's kind of the strategy, how to beat this deck, but I just don't know how to do it with the other colours yet. Green is going nowhere. I'm very upset because androids are my favourite deck, right? And you can't just sit back and ramp anymore. It's against this leader, you're just going to get punished so hard. You're going to have to again, until I can test it, you're going to have to contest and challenge those early life threats. So, you know, when your opponent swings 20, for example, into your leader and they don't combo with hit, just combo a 10k and just sit back and defend and defend and defend for as many turns as you can. But I don't know how efficient it's going to be. I really don't. And to be honest, I don't know how effective it'll be. Once, again, as a green player, once your opponent establishes this Android 17, your life just becomes miserable. You can't clear this card. So it's going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough. I hope at some point, the one thing I have seen them do with Masters is every now and again they have emergency errated or emergency banned cards. I don't want them to see, I do not want to see banned cards, at least right now. It's set 2, I don't want to see cards get banned, but there might have to be an errata on the Kefla, for example. And I don't even know what they would do, to be honest. Like, with a cost of 3 or less in Tournament of Power, I don't know what you would do, because if you change it to 2 or less, the card's terrible. So I really don't know, but there might be some sort of change that they have to make to this deck, or even to the leader, for example. Maybe they make it a tap 2 rather than a tap 1. I don't know. There might be something that they bring in the near future, because if the tournaments coming up for set 2 are the same as what just happened, they have to do something, because it's such a toxic format when you only have one deck. It just makes it very unfun for other players, you know, unless you're sitting there grinding locals and grinding regionals and everything possible to try and just, I don't know, make money off the physical game, let's say. Yeah, it's not going to be fun for anybody else who just wants to have fun and just play. So I don't know. I'm happy that red is in a state where it's ridiculously strong for sure. This is a bit too much, I think, in this set. Considering it's only set 2, I think that this is a really bad sign of balancing on behalf of Bandai. I think that you can't have a deck that's just this strong this early. You know, I've played in Masters where you had like the triangle format years ago of Dark Broly, Golden Frieza, King Vegeta. Like, you know, there was triangle formats where, you know, there was definitely one of these 3 leaders were just the absolute best, but that was still better because at least one had an out to the other, and it felt, I don't know, it felt not as toxic. It still was toxic as hell, don't get me wrong, but this just feels like it's Topku, and if you're not playing Topku, you're not going to win. That's how this feels right now. And again, I'm only basing this off of one tournament, but having 14 of the top 16 deck list being Topku, it tells you everything you need to know, that everybody is so hyped on this deck, and they should be, because the deck is absolutely stupid. It's really stupid. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just a bit concerned. This is set 2, and they've already blundered like this. I don't know. I don't know how I feel. And it makes me nervous for Black next set. Either Black will be stupid busted, or it will just not be competitive. Because we were talking about this the other week as well, they're like what Black's gimmick would be. I thought it would kind of be similar to One Piece, where it would be like lower the power, or not power, sorry, lower the energy cost of the battle card. But they gave that to Blue. So I now no longer have an idea as to what Black's strategy is going to be. So we'll need to wait and see, because red obviously minuses power, yellow rests battle cards and, you know, keeps them locked. Blue bounces cards to hand and bottom decks them. That's just typical from Blue. Green is just KO and ramp and playing high battle cards. Like, that's just its MO. I don't know what's left. What is left for Black? Like, for me, the only one was let's mine this power, and then, you know, if your opponent's battle card has a, you know, or not power, sorry, if your opponent has a battle card with a cost of 1 or less, bottom deck it or kill it or whatever. But yeah, they gave that to blue, so I now don't know what they're gonna do with that, but it does make me nervous. I'm not gonna lie. Having a tournament show up with that much power and it only being Topku realistically, Beerus for sure is still a great deck going into the next set. Again, the Topku package lends perfectly into Beerus' strategy of minusing and control, so for sure it's definitely still up there. And plus, because this leader inherently discards cards with its own effect, a crit leader has a really decent matchup into it, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, congratulations to the guy who got top 16 with Blue Vegeta. That was a huge achievement. Well done to him. He's showing out that the deck is absolutely snapped, as I've been saying for the longest time. And yeah, it's just, unfortunately, Vegeta's power spike came at the time where Topku looks like this. And I don't know. I don't know how long it can compete for. We'll just have to wait and see. I think if any color has the opportunity to take on red or Topku at its peak, it's definitely blue. So you never know. Blue might start making more appearances in the top cuts when people start figuring out how to play against Topku. Like I said, it is only the first tournament, so we have to keep that in mind as well. But guys, this deck is absolutely stupid. It's absolutely snapped. I'm gonna put out a few videos soon. It's just gonna be about me revising some of the deck lists that I'd put out previously, and I thought we had to start with Topku because I think that was the one that I made the most blunders with. I think the next one is probably going to be Vegeta. While I don't think I blundered as much with Vegeta, there was a few cards that I forgot about, or not even forgot about, but I didn't want to consider them in the deck at the time. But I think now that I've had a chance to sort of think about it and have a chat with guys at my locals about it, and again, seeing that person's list that topped as well, like, I can kind of see what the strategy is for the deck now, so for sure it does make sense. So yeah, so I think Vegeta might be the next one that I upload. And then maybe we'll revisit... I'm not sure. I don't even know what I would revisit after that. I think the rest of the lists were okay. Certainly up for discussion. But yeah, I'll have a think. But definitely I think Vegeta will be the deck that will most likely be out tomorrow anyway. But guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. And I appreciate all the support. And I hope that this video hasn't put you off set 2 for sure. Like I said, I'm quite disheartened. But hopefully... It just kind of evens out and balances out over the course of the next month or so anyway. Hopefully we'll get some tournament reports where, you know, Topku's not... I wouldn't say it's struggling, but it's just not as prevalent. You know, if we have a top 16, there's only 5 or 6 of them. That's much better. I'd much rather see that. So we'll wait and see. I'm not... Cross my fingers. I don't think that's going to happen at all. But anyway, guys, thank you all for watching, and I appreciate the support. And if you haven't already, please give us a like and a subscribe. And I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.